Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on NASA TV. We're live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, and it's my pleasure this morning to be joined by the new Space Station Program Manager, Kirk Shireman. Thanks so much.
Great. It's nice to be here. I'm glad to be here and talk about the International Space Station.
Yeah, which you're very familiar with. For 7 years, you served as the Deputy Program Manager, and then you went on to take the role as the Deputy Center Director here at Johnson Space Center. And as of just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think you said, you are now serving as the Program Manager for the International Space Station program. Can you tell us what it's like to be working back at the program level?
Well, it's funny. In one sense, it's like coming home. I spent 20 years of my life working on the International Space Station before I left, and so the people that work here, my family, my friends, and so I leave for 2 years, and of course I see people, but not on the same daily basis. So coming back was kind of like coming back home. But it's also somewhat like picking up a novel and opening up in the middle and starting to read the story, because a lot of things have happened. Everyone else knows what's happened but me, and so I have to go catch up with everyone else. But again, since I have a good relationship with all the people, and I know the big picture of the story, it hasn't been too terribly difficult so far.
It has been a busy time. Just last week, we had 9 crew members on board the International Space Station. Can you talk about how you think the international cooperation aspect is going?
I think the international cooperation is still going very well. So it was great to see people. We had a cosmonaut from Kazakhstan. We had a Danish astronaut, of course, Russian and American and Japanese all on board. So it was great to see all those countries represented. Here on the ground, of course, we've had it's not only the partner members of the ISS that are involved. We've had 83 different countries represented doing research on board the International Station. 83 across the world. That's quite a bit, and doing thousands of investigations. So it has been a great international endeavor, and I expect it to continue that way for years to come.
Absolutely. And speaking of the science, yesterday was a big milestone, the midway point for Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko as they're making their way through this year-long mission. Can you talk us a little bit about how you think it's gone the last 6 months and what we can look forward to for the next 6?
Well, for me, the first 6 months have blazed by. I wonder how it is with Scott and Mikhail, but they seem to be doing exceptionally well. They're very, very productive on orbit, seem to be very happy. And the work they're doing really is very important, right? The things that they're doing, we've had crew members who stayed about 200 days, is about the longest we've ever had. So here, very, very shortly, they'll be the longest staying crew members ever on ISS. And the amount of data and the quality of the data that we're collecting will be groundbreaking. So it'll be really great to see what happens to the human body during that long period of time. We have a number of experiments. Earlier, you were talking about fluid shifts. I know they just participated in it this week, looking at what happens as fluid shifts in the body when you go up in microgravity environment. There's also a twin study looking at what happens with Scott's twin brother here on the Earth, and seeing what the difference is between a human body on the ground versus out in space. So all those things are really important, because we ultimately want to send humans off the planet for long durations, and to get to the next planet is going to be years. So learning what we can on ISS is a great pathfinder for putting humans on Mars.
Absolutely. The research, of course, is a major aspect of all of this. Another thing that's really developing, though, is the commercial aspects, and Space Station has really been a platform to help enable some of the commercialization. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you see coming up in that area as well?
Sure. Well, ISS, of course, has many dimensions working in the commercialization of space. One of the big ones is the commercial resupply of cargo. So we signed a contract years ago with SpaceX and Orbital, now Orbital ATK, to fly cargo to the International Space Station. So both of those companies have been successful in doing that. They also had some difficulties too, but that's part of the difficulty of our business. So that's an aspect. We're actually in the midst of the second cargo resupply contract, and here very, very shortly, in the next month and a half, we'll be announcing a new contract for additional cargo flights through the life of Space Station. So we're looking forward to that. As you know, also we have commercial crew. We have a contract with Boeing and with SpaceX to fly crews up to the International Space Station, starting in their first flights are scheduled in 2017, and the first rotation flights in 2018. So all those are really important, not only for the International Space Station, but really to foster this commercial industry out there for low Earth orbit. We're also doing quite a few things in terms of research and commercial inside the space station. So there's the Center for Advancement of Science in Space, or CASES, which is responsible of managing the national lab aspect of the International Space Station, and they're working with a number of private companies to do experiments, and not only for the knowledge that they're gained, but also for commercial gain. So I think we really are trying to foster a commercial industry in low Earth orbit, and making quite good progress.
Absolutely. And I know we've covered a lot, but what are you looking most forward to as you embark on this new position? Is there anything in particular that's...
The thing is, we've been doing research on board International Space Station for years, and what I'm looking forward to is really seeing the fruition of that. So we've had great experience. We learned quite a few things, both for NASA's purposes, but for, let's say, for humankind as a species. And I'm looking forward to continuing that, actually growing that, and really seeing the results of that. There's been a number of things that we've already done that have had significant benefits here on the ground. One of the ones that just came out recently, there was an experiment done in Expedition 5, and it basically was looking at how to purify the air. That led to a commercial product that's actually used here on the Earth in a number of places, daycares and schools and hospitals. It's also used in the wine industry to help mold from growing down in their wine cellars. So seeing something like that go from an experiment on board ISS to being something that people can use all over the planet is really amazing. We have a number of experiments that are going on in fundamental science. We have the alpha magnetic spectrometer, and now CREAM, which are looking at particles of energies that are orders of magnitude greater than can be seen here on Earth, and we're actually watching them and learning about them, learning about the origin of our universe, and what comes out of that will be really amazing. So all these things I'm looking forward to not only growing the opportunities for research on board the ISS, but really seeing how it affects our lives here on the planet.
Right, and we just want to remind our viewers that you can see a lot of those case studies, if you will, of these success stories of ways that the space station has benefited life on Earth on our website at www.nasa.gov/station. So with that, thank you again so much for your time. Congratulations on the new position, and we look forward to hearing from you more.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Again, that's Kirk Shireman, the new International Space Station Program Manager. This is Mission Control Houston.